Okay, good night. Good evening, everybody. And sorry for being absent for about a week now, but I needed to sleep a lot after Sicily. That was an awful lot of touring. So I'm taking a little break here in Seattle. And we're also getting ready for our 2023 launch. And I'm really excited about our launch. We're going to be doing a launch party for our Patreon members on Thursday afternoon at noon Pacific time. Andrew Vallone is going to join us. Maybe Reid will join us too. We'll see. And we're going to announce our 2023 schedule, which we're super excited about. One of the tours that I have talked about with you guys before that I have been noodling over for probably 2 or 3 years now is that I really want to do a Southern African safari, but also tour, just sort of covering some of the southern part, not just South Africa, but some other things as well. I read that Ladies Detective Agency book series years ago, and that kind of has always put that in the back of my head as something that's on my list of things I would really like to do. So, of course, Reid being Reid, he's like, well, let's do it then. So this is like your first little shot across the bow, just a first introduction of one of the tours we're going to offer in 2023, which is going to be Southern Africa. We're going to offer that in August of 2023. And I can tell you so far that we have 3 people booked on that tour, which is me, Luca, and Nicola. So it's going to be a lot of fun. But if you want to go sooner, Reid is actually running this same itinerary this year. And the prices are going to be significantly lower, right, Reid? Because this was a tour that was supposed to have gone in 2020.
Right. We kept our 2020 prices throughout, waiting for COVID to run its course and us to get back to tourism. So we've kept those 2020 prices, and we've got an early pay discount available. And before we're done here today, we'll talk about a special discount for those of you who are Sarah's followers. So what we are presenting today is, if you're ready to go and you're able to go, this is going to be a smoking good value to go to Africa this year already. So we'd love to have 2, 3, 4 couples join us. We've got a small group ready to go, and we'll be talking about that as we roll along here today.
Yeah, and we also just thought it would be fun to talk about a destination we haven't really talked much about before. And as far as our 2023 tour schedule goes, this for me is the centerpiece. This is the thing I've been wanting to do for a really long time. So I thought it would be fun, not just to have Reid do a slideshow, which he's going to do a slideshow to give you a little sense of what that's going to be, but also we're being joined today by some people who have actually done the tour.
These are a couple of my clients. This is Bill and Judy Spalding. Say hi from Arizona down there.
Hi from Arizona down there.
Hello.
So I guess the first question is, was it fun or did it suck? Let's just cut to the chase.
It was an outstanding tour.
It was awesome. It was awesome.
Namibia was phenomenal. South Africa was beautiful. We kayaked down the Orange River crossing into South Africa from Namibia.
Oh, I love Namibia.
And
red sand dunes.
We went up to the Okavango Delta in Botswana. That was awesome. And of course, Victoria Falls was super, just absolutely superb.
Yeah.
It was an oh my God moment, like the first time you see the Grand Canyon. Is so spectacular.
And the first Fish River Canyon in Namibia was incredible. It's not anything as big or as outstanding as Grand Canyon, but it's beautiful.
Definitely worth the visit.
Yeah, it is. It's the second largest canyon in the world, if I remember correctly.
That's right.
And it was beautiful.
So can you guys identify, each of you respectively, your favorite moment on that whole tour experience?
Well, to be perfectly honest, we have 3 cars. And in the back window of all 3 of our vehicles, I have a Namibian flag, because the week we spent in Namibia was probably the best week of my life. It was that much fun.
He loved Namibia. I mean, I loved it too, we'd love to go back.
I'll show you.
But it was a beautiful place. The red sand dunes were incredible, and there was just so much about Namibia. Seeing the flamingos. It was just a great place. I think it was so surprising.
So I have a sticker like this on the back of all our cars, and we've only had one person that knew what it was.
Yeah, I had a,
Actually, I've had two people, because there was a fellow at the Toy Train Museum who was born in Windhoek, and he came out and we're getting something out of the car, and he goes, "Oh, that's neat. That's where I was born." And
I had a fellow come up to me in a gas station and he goes, "Namibia? Are you from Namibia?" And I go, "No, but we went there and we loved it. So we put the sticker on our car." And he was like, "Oh, he was from Namibia and he was very anxious to talk to somebody else from Namibia."
so it's a cool place. It's a great trip. You think a lot of desert, you think it'd be rather boring,
Can't
but
see you, Bill. They can't
but
see
it
you.
was, it was fabulous, interesting. We'd go hours without seeing another vehicle, and anyway, so yeah, we really like.
It's Namibia calling to say thanks for all the nice things you said about.
That's right. And I know you both love Namibia, but I'm going to ask you then to share with the audience here your second favorite moment then, just so it's not strictly the Namibia show here.
Are you talking Africa?
Yeah, the rest of the Southern Africa too. Well, or the gorillas.
I loved Table Mountain, and I loved Cape Town. I loved seeing the African penguins. Oh, they were incredible. I loved Botswana and seeing all the animals there. My favorite places, of course, was Victoria Falls. And one of the reasons, because I bungee jumped.
You bungee jumped? I've never
Yes,
done that.
Yeah,
Wow.
off the bridge at Victoria Falls, and that was incredible.
Yeah, this is the woman that bungee jumps everywhere we go, but is afraid to get in a small airplane.
No, I'm fine with small airplanes.
Oh, Judy, come on. Your eyes got this big when you saw that airplane in Namibia when we did the overflight.
Oh, that was a good trip. Anyway, let's see. Other highlights of South Africa. Well, Dilkwanga Delta to me was just fascinating. The wildlife was incredible. The guides were superb.
I enjoyed the wine country in South Africa. That was really fun, going to the wineries. That was to me kind of unexpected. I didn't really think that they would have such beautiful wineries in South Africa. So I was surprised by that. That was fun. I enjoyed that day we were there in the wine country and went wine tasting. So that was fun.
Actually, the fact that Judy, I should have been counting on my fingers. That was about 10 things when I asked for one, which that's fine. Because that says something. And what that says is, this is, I think, the most diverse tour on offer at Imprint Tours. Of all the places we go around the world, in 12 days, 14 days of Southern Africa, you see completely different travel ecosystems, right? Namibia that you were talking about, which is an optional extension, is a desert state. Then you've got Cape Town and Cape Point there in South Africa, which includes the wine country, and visiting Robben Island where Mandela was imprisoned. And, so there's historic things to see there. Then you go off into Botswana, where you have your classic safari experiences of game viewing and whatnot.
Oh my gosh.
River cruise. And then you finish at Victoria Falls, which of course, by the way, is the picture behind me.
Right.
Victoria Falls, which is one of the, 7 natural wonders of the world, and justifiably so. So that's 4 absolutely different experiences. If you want to just have safari, I think East Africa is probably the best place for that, but it's the same every day, apart from the fact that the animals change. It's safari is what you have in East Africa, but in Southern Africa, there's all these different experiences. I think it's an important thing to point out. So all of your highlights, Judy, fit perfectly. Thank you.
And I swear we didn't pay these people to come on and say nice things about Reid's store. But what I think is really cool about the people who travel with you and me, Reid, is that we really do have actual adventures. It's not like a pre-packaged kind of whatever sort of thing. I like that face. I can see your face down there. Do I even want to know?
You know what? I think about us, the quad biking, and then we were in, and then we were in we saw the Sidewinder snake when
Yeah.
we went. It was like a more of a dune buggies, and
Oh, no, we were in a safari vehicle.
yeah, we were in safari, and
That was really amazing was the guide, we're driving along.
this was in Namibia.
This is in Namibia, desert. And the guy goes, stop, stop. And so the driver stopped and goes running out. This guy was kind of like, what's the guy from Australia?
Oh, Dundee.
No. Anyway,
Crocodile hunter.
yeah, exactly. Anyway, and he could see this snake. It was buried in the sand, and all you could see were the two, its eyelids above the sand. And the bloody snake was only probably 6, 8 inches long. And, but so we all stood around it. Absolutely blew my mind. But every day on our trip, there was something new and exciting.
Yeah, I mean, and it wasn't just Namibia. I mean, it was
It was-
everywhere
it
we
was
went.
great.
It was another adventure. I mean, the way you packaged the tour, Reid, was like you said, it was just an adventure no matter what country we were in, So it was, yeah. For our first experience for Africa, I would say it was, yeah, right up there at the top for me. So,
Hey, by the way, Sarah knows Todd. And any nice words to say about Todd?
Todd was phenomenal.
Oh, he was incredible.
Great guy.
Oh, just what I don't know what to say about Todd. He reminded me of what you call it in Australia, Dundee. I mean, because he was so funny. He was just
Great sense of humor,
Oh.
very knowledgeable.
yes, and
Interesting history. And so, yeah, it was great. Great guys. Super smart,
and
super great guy to hang out with.
and to be perfectly honest, Reid, for me, I was worried about doing just Namibia with somebody other than you. I was so used to you being our guide. So when we got Todd and we got used to him, it was like, okay, well, we're fine without Reid.
Yeah. You guys communicated that loud and clear in Africa. I
Right.
remember.
Oh, that's so
that
funny.
was a great
No,
trip.
he was awesome. He was awesome.
So-
Yeah, and I love to travel with him again. I mean, every once in a while we talk to him about, where else are you going, Todd? Can we do another area of Namibia, or there's some other place else we can go? And he said, well, I'll have to look into that. So,
Yeah.
but we've never.
Oh, he was big on going to Mozambique, if I recall correctly.
Oh,
But
yeah, could've been.
And
another highlight of the trip for me was, we went on the safari in Zimbabwe, and that was really cool. That's the first time we saw a rhino on that trip. And
The Okavango Delta was incredible.
but yeah, it was,
And the lodge we stayed at there, that was a great place.
oh, that was,
Yeah,
that's
that was
right.
awesome. So,
I mean, Reid really did his homework, and
yeah,
our safari camps were 5-star. I mean, they're excellent. Great food, great service, great
yeah,
accommodations.
that was fun. Hearing the lions.
Hearing
really,
the lions go off at about 4 o'clock in the morning.
that was incredible.
So a lot of good memories.
For our viewers' benefits here, I'll mention that there's a private sanctuary there outside of Victoria Falls, where there are 7 very well protected rhinos. They're still in the wild, but I think it's like a 91% success rate of the safaris that go in there. 91% of the people end up seeing the rhinos. We did that as an option back in 2014, but that's now a set part of the tour. It's included in the tour.
Excellent.
And also Todd is our main guy down there in Southern Africa. He'll be taking care of Sarah's tour as well as mine coming up. So
That's
Yeah,
exciting.
he's awesome. Yeah.
Good. Well, I want to thank you guys so much for joining us today. I really appreciate, it's nice to hear, other than us talk about how awesome we think our tours are.
Right.
It's nice to have somebody else who can verify, and they're
Well,
not paid
Sarah-
actors.
For us, it's really nice seeing your face. We've heard a lot about you, but never met you.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, okay.
We've known about you for years,
Anyway, so,
we had-
Well, nice to meet you.
yeah, well,
nice to meet
hopefully we'll be able to do it in person.
Yeah,
sometime.
sometime
I
maybe
hope
we'll
so.
get to go on a tour with you. So
Right.
That would be fantastic. Well,
Okay,
thank you so much for joining us, you guys.
no problem.
So I think what we're going to do is we're going to shift gears just a little bit here. And Reid, you have prepared for us a PowerPoint, right, to show us a little bit about.
Well, really, if you give me control of the screen, I'll just run some images by and talk about it. It's basically a very redacted version of a PowerPoint. It's just going to take about 10 minutes, but just to put some visuals to this tour that Bill and Judy were talking about, and I can sort of walk everybody through the itinerary very quickly with a few images of each stop. So that's what we're going to do now, and I'll go ahead and take control of the screen. And are you seeing the gorillas, Sarah?
I am. I'm seeing the gorillas.
Okay. We didn't really talk about it much with Bill and Judy, but there is an option along with this tour. The tour itself is from Victoria Falls in Zimbabwe and ends in Cape Town, South Africa. But pre-tour, there's an option for going to Rwanda and Uganda to see the mountain gorillas. And, you know, Sarah and I earlier talked about the costs are going to go up a lot by the time we do this tour again in 2023, because it'll be 3 years of inflation, plus everything that's going on in the world today with the price of oil. That will affect everything. Everybody's trying to recover from COVID. So the cost of this year's tour is just going to be significantly less. And in particular, the gorillas, the cost of the permits is going to go from $800 to $1,600, right? Those actually went up in 2020, but I had pre-purchased some. So I've got permits available for seeing the mountain gorillas in Uganda. So anyway, you know, just to show you a few images here. What's remarkable about this experience is how close you are to the gorillas. You go to the national park, you're quickly briefed about the experience and how you need to behave. The trackers are up in the mountains, finding the gorilla families, and then you head out. They take you to these gorilla families, and they're so acclimated to human contact that they're very comfortable with you being very, very close. And so you're with the gorillas for about an hour. And I have to say, without exaggeration, this is a top 5 travel experience for me. With all my travels all over the world, experientially speaking, this is right up there with anything else I've ever done. It is so amazing to see these powerful, powerful creatures. I should have prompted Bill. Bill and I had a similar experience when we were up there with the gorillas. Some of the juveniles were sort of wrestling around like juveniles do in human families as well. And in each case, individually, Bill and me separately, we didn't get out of the way quickly enough when a couple of these wrestling young gorillas came rolling and rollicking by. And one reached out and swatted me right on the bum, and Bill got pushed as well. I mean, it was like almost like you were part of this gorilla clan, the way they treated you, and didn't feel threatened at all. These powerful creatures, but you knew it was all playfully intended. Obviously, the image I have now is with the baby. The silverback is always present. Each gorilla family has the patriarch that's sort of the guardian. He's just sitting watching everything. He's watching us. The guides that you have there have learned the gorilla language. You know, they're grunting and purring and sort of assuring the gorillas that everything is okay. It's absolutely a remarkable experience. Now, this is not the best photograph, but I needed you all to see this. Look how close my group is here to those 2 gorillas. I mean, what, 6 feet away from the little baby, the juvenile there off to the left? Absolutely amazing. I think I've got another one. Yeah, here's my daughter Maya with the silverback, just, you know, 25 feet away. Absolutely remarkable how close you can get to the gorillas. And this is a picture of the genocide memorial in Kigali. Not as spectacular as seeing the mountain gorillas, but this is a powerful, well done memorial to the genocide that happened in the 90s there in Rwanda. And it's, it's sort of your classic remembrance of never again allowing this sort of thing to happen. So we absolutely include that visit in the extension. So anybody who wanted to can add that on. Sarah, you and I haven't even talked about whether or not to try to do that with your tour. So that may or may not be available in 2023 as well. Another maybe a little bit of incentive for anybody who might be interested. The tour itself then starts in Victoria Falls. Of course, like I said before, one of the seven natural wonders of the world. I just was in Argentina just 3 weeks ago. I went to see Iguazu Falls. Also spectacular, but for sheer power and force, even Iguazu cannot stack up to Victoria. It's just a spectacular waterfall. This photograph was from about mid-March at the end of the rainy season when it's in full flow. This is closer to what you're likely to experience this fall with me, in that in September, you'll be closer to the dry season has been going on for quite a while. And you start to see that the flow is not quite as powerful, but still plenty of water, right? Plenty of water. Actually, this is a little bit helpful for photographs because the plume is pretty spectacularly everywhere, right? So it's kind of hard to get your camera out without getting it soaked when it's in full flow. One of the many cascades there, little rainbow there in the background just from the plume. Here's a couple of my travelers with their shot. And something that we've included, we did it as an option back in 2014 and 2018 when I went back. But now we're just including it for everybody, and that's the helicopter ride over the falls. So this is above the Zambezi, looking at the falls from up above, where again, I keep mentioning that plume, and this is where you really get a sense of how big that is. So and this is the only way that you can see the entire breadth of the falls, right? You saw the pictures I had before. You're only seeing a small section each time in each one of those photographs. And even with the naked eye, you cannot see the whole falls except for from this bird's eye view. And it's spectacular, right? So here's the best shot I have for giving you a sense of how big the plume is that rises up from the falls. And you see all along the right edge there is where you would be in the national park, trying not to get soaked, trying not to have your camera get soaked when you're taking pictures. Truly spectacular. I mentioned the private preserve there, private reserve that has the rhinos. And of course, seeing rhinos in the wild is getting to be a rarer and rarer occurrence. So this is a spectacular opportunity to have a really good chance of seeing rhinos in the wild. But there are plenty of other animals there. We saw a pride of lions one time when we were doing the rhino safari. Next stop after Zimbabwe and Victoria Falls is Chobe National Park in Botswana. Botswana is where we have the bulk of our safari experiences, and the classic Chobe National Park experience is a sunset cruise on the Chobe River. So you can see by the light of this photograph, a handful of my travelers, we're out there on the river at dusk. Sunset, of course, is beautiful, but that's not really what you're out there for. It's the end of the day, the end of the light when when the animals are coming down to the river to drink. So you get these spectacular photographic light and you see the life of the river. Here's an elephant, obviously fixing a little salad for himself for dinner. This is a little baby elephant that had come down to the river. I'm taking this shot with a point and shoot camera without any zoom whatsoever. I'm in the front of the boat. I'm probably 15 feet away from this elephant. So it's a real up close and personal experience of the animals. You see rafts of hippos, tons and tons of hippos in this part of the river. So a spectacular start. We always do that on the first evening of arrival. And then of course you've got your land safaris. I've just got a handful of shots here of animals because everybody knows what safari is all about. And you're going to see every African animal that you can imagine here in Chobe. Lots of bird life, giraffes, of course, eagles, elephants for sure. So classic safari experience along with the river cruise. We do the Zambezi cruise in Zimbabwe at Victoria Falls as well, but that's to be perfectly honest, that's more of a booze cruise, right? It's just there's an open bar and everybody gets lit up pretty good and just has a good time. And maybe you'll see a crocodile or a hippo or two, but mostly people don't care.
But let me just say that we do have a lot of fun. I know this all seems very serious with animals and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, Reid and I do have a lot of fun, don't we?
Absolutely. And you know what? That's the way it should be with travel, right? You're traveling with a great group of intrepid people out there to have a good time. And that's for sure part of what we're all about when we travel. And then the last stop on the regular tour is Cape Town. So basically 3 stops, right? Victoria Falls, Chobe National Park, and then Cape Town. For full disclosure, Bill and Judy talked a lot about the Okavango Delta. That's no longer a part of the tour. It was just too logistically challenging to get there and get out of there. So we've added days in Chobe to make up for that, but no Okavango Delta. This, of course, is Table Mountain, the classic signature mountain that sits above Cape Town. That's Cape Town there in the foreground. A fantastic city. I think the year we visited the first time in 2014, it was voted the #1 tourist destination city in the world. And it's always in the top 20. I think that's my brother Neil up on top, with spectacular views. Absolutely adorable little neighborhood called Beau Cap, where all the houses are these brightly colored houses with huge varieties, just gorgeous. We stop there and take photographs and wander around a little bit before we head out south to Cape Point, right? From Cape Town, it's about 1.5 to 2 hours drive all the way down to the southernmost tip of Africa. It's a gorgeous drive. This is Hout Bay, just one of the stops that we make for photographs on the way down. Obviously stop at the Cape of Good Hope that hopefully everybody paid enough attention in Western Civ to know why that's important. And then right at the very, very tip of the continent, there's a lighthouse. There is a cable car if you prefer not to hike up to the top, but that's the destination. Judy mentioned the penguin colony on the way back. There's a penguin reserve there where they kept a beach from being developed. It's called Boulders Beach. The beach itself is spectacularly beautiful and tons of African penguins. And then, of course, Bill and Judy both raved about Namibia. I've just got a few shots here to whet your appetite a little bit. This is an optional extension, Namibia, 6 days. And none of my photographs have been photoshopped. This is what it looks like, right, to the naked eye. These are the great sand dunes on the way to Sis's Fly. And this, we obviously go first thing in the morning and the sun has just come up. So you get this red sand that just glows in the first light of the day. And then the shadow then on the western side, just, I've always described it as like a razor cut between the glowing red sand and then the dark shadow on the other side. Miles and miles of this. This is Sis's Fly, which doesn't look that impressive from up above. The day has worn on quite a bit. It's the old washed out effluviant plain of an extinct river, which actually every few years there's enough rain that it does fill up with water. But it's basically just the dead delta of an extinct river. And all those trees down in the bottom are petrified. And this is what it looks like when you're down in there. And again, I want to repeat, this is not photoshopped in any way. That's what the sky looks like. That's what the sand looks like. Then you get this white pan and these black petrified trees. It's just a a photographer's dream. So anyway, that's basically the tour, right? From Victoria Falls to Cape Town, Namibia as an option, on the tail end, gorillas as an option beforehand. And that's basically it for my photographs. So I'm gonna stop my screen share there.
That is amazing, and I cannot wait. I'm super excited about it. So I know that a question that's going to be on everybody's minds is, what is the situation for vaccinations or testing or whatever? What is the COVID situation right now?
Yeah, well, I'm going to answer that question, but I think it's really important that people understand that this is the situation right now here at the end of April, and that it's changing. And certainly the global trend is away from requiring tests. Some countries are still requiring it. The countries that we visit on the tour, Zimbabwe today only requires a vaccine, and they're reporting less than 1 case of COVID per population of 100,000. Botswana requires only a vaccine to enter. Right now, they're reporting 0 cases per 100,000. South Africa requires proof of vaccine or a negative PCR test taken 72 hours. So even people who are unvaccinated can come if they can test negative. They're reporting 5 cases per 100,000 there in South Africa. Rwanda and Uganda both are reporting less than 1 case per 100,000. Both require the negative PCR test today. But I'd be willing to predict that by the time September rolls around, nobody will be requiring anything other than vaccination. But that's what the requirement is today. Oh, and by the way, for frame of reference, I quickly looked up. The United States right now is reporting 14 cases of COVID per 100,000, relatively speaking, right? Every one of these African nations is reporting fewer than we are. And my county, I looked up my county in Colorado, 30 per 100,000 in my county. So
That's not good.
it's one of the orange counties in Colorado right now. So
okay. Wow. So I think that sounds pretty darn good to me. So I'm really excited about this. So if you want to travel with me on this trip, it's going to be next year. But like he said, I think it's probably going to sell out pretty quick is my guess. And also it's going to be more expensive this year. If you want to do it, what are your dates, Reid?
Good question. I've got my calendar here. I should have been ready for that. The tour that starts in Victoria Falls starts on the 31st of August. So it's coming up pretty quick, the 31st of August. If you wanted to do the gorillas in Uganda, that's the 28th through the 30th of August. Then the tour itself is from the 31st through the 11th, and then Namibia is from the 11th to the 17th of September.
So it's a commitment of about 3 weeks, more or less.
If you're doing everything, it's 3 weeks. But of course, you can, there's the 2 extensions on either end, right? But like I said, I can't emphasize enough. I mean, I know that I'm talking to your fans, and I know that they would like to go with you. And I'm not Sarah.
As I am not Reid. So.
Right. And we each have our strengths and our weaknesses, right? But what really counts is the local talent on these tours, right? The Todd that we talked about briefly. If you followed Sarah carefully in the last year, we had Todd on for a couple of programs when we were doing our Where in the World program. He's super charismatic. He's super knowledgeable. He's the one that counts on the tour. Anyway, and my big pitch to all of you is you're going to save hundreds and hundreds of dollars if you're ready to go and you want to jump on board, and you want to jump on board before the crowds come back. Now is the time. Well, we've got enough people to run the tour, but I'd love to have a few more people. And as just a final incentive, I'm creating a discount code on this tour, and we'll call it Sarah, out of deference to Sarah. If you put in the discount code when you're making your final payment of Sarah, it'll be an additional $200 off. And we do have an early pay discount that we'd already extended till the end of April, which is just a week from, well, it's this Saturday. But for your followers only, Sarah, we're going to go ahead and extend that Why are you laughing? No.
But wait, there's more.
I know. I feel like those guys on those infomercials, right? Order now, and we'll send you 2 trips to Africa for the price.
No, but this is all important to kind of know how we work stuff. When I do tours with Reid, we do something a little different than I do with Andrew, which is Andrew and I just kind of set a price, and that's the price. Reid has a special deal where if you pay the full balance 6 months before the tour, you get an additional, actually really big discount. And that's just good for us to know that you're 100% committed. That's why it's for these more exotic tours. Also, we need to pay in advance more than we do with like an Italy tour or something like that. So yeah, so if you want to take advantage of both of those discounts, that's like $500 off or something, right?
Right. So an extra $200 and extended the early pay discount of $300 to the 15th of May. So that's $500 off the price of the tour. That is already a 2-year-old price. So do the math and come join me in Africa.
Yeah, I think that you should go if you have the ability and the means. And, you know, above all, carpe diem, man, who knows what's going to happen next. And I mean, all the people who traveled with you and I last fall are also grateful they did, because they got to see places without anybody in them. And now, I mean, a bunch of the places we were at in the fall are getting really full. So
yeah. And you know, Omicron sprung up there at the end of last year, and I had a full group scheduled to go to Patagonia. In the end, that got reduced by about half, but I took 16 people who were willing to carpe diem, to seize the day. By the time we went, Omicron had been spent. It was on the decline. We had a great tour, and we had perfect weather. And, you know, I mean, that was the karmic reward, I think, for those people who went out and traveled. And could another variant come through? Sure. You know, are we done with COVID? Absolutely not. But I do think that COVID is, at least for the next few years, going to be part of the considerations of travel. And if you're sitting back waiting for COVID to be completely gone, I'm afraid that you might never go out and travel again. So that's just my encouragement to all of you. You can travel safe. We do travel safely. And the rewards are tremendous. And for those that are the most intrepid and get out there early, you get to see the world without all the crowds that have become such a part of, you know, middle-class commercial tourism. So
absolutely. Well, I think that is a very good idea. So just to recap, especially for anybody who's joined us late. So we're talking about the Southern Africa tour, which takes in Victoria Falls, Botswana Safari, and South Africa, and then extends into Namibia. And then Reid also does an extension to see the gorillas of Uganda. I don't know if I'm going to do that yet. We haven't really talked about that. So if you are interested in seeing the gorillas, you'd probably want to go this year, because I'm not sure that we're going to be doing that. So this is just my first little announcement, my little like amuse-bouche, you could say, of like, what is the 2023 tour schedule. This is the first thing I'm announcing, because it is something that I have been so excited about. So I'll be doing this in August of next year, kind of more like middle of August next year, and the kids are going to come along with us. So that's the plan. But if you want to save some money and you want to go now, which you should, because there won't be anybody there, which is great, you can travel with Reid as soon as the end of August this year. Right.
Right. And we will have those dates for your tour. I've been promising people by the end of the week. So we'll get that hammered out, and I'll get it out on my website, and I'll get that word to you, Sarah, and you can get word out to your people.
Perfect. That sounds great. Well, I hope that was interesting for you guys. I think that was very excited. It's getting me very excited for our launch at the end of this week. So again, for people who are my Patreon followers, Patreon, we will have a meeting at noon on Thursday, noon Pacific time, to announce our tour schedule and answer questions about that. And then we'll start taking deposits immediately for 2023 tours. And then everybody else who's watching, if you're not a Patreon supporter, it'll be probably 2 weeks later that we're going to open up our tour schedule to the general public after we get through all the first flush of reservations and get everybody confirmed. Then we know how many seats we have left on things, and we'll open it up to everybody else. Hopefully we'll have 0 seats left, right, Reid?
Be a good problem to have.
we're hoping to, I actually think, Reid, after all of the stuff we have been through and how tenacious we have been in trying to keep all this stuff going the last couple of years, we are karmically owed every tour to sell out next year.
Yeah, 2023 is going to be explosive for travel. And that's, we've got lots of things on the schedule for those of you who are ready to get out and travel, but I can't help myself. It's another good reason to go now, right?
No, it's absolutely true. I mean, every tour that I did this year, there was nobody anywhere we went, even in Venice, Florence, and Rome. I mean, it was really pretty quiet. And now all of a sudden I'm seeing pictures of Rome that are like back to the same levels they were in 2019, which was really uncomfortably full. So I think if you're able to get out and travel now before people really start getting back at it, you're smart. It's a good time to go.
Right. And I read off the statistics, right? Those countries that we're visiting on this tour, they're not having big numbers of COVID at all. So safe places to travel.
Yeah. So last little note for everybody that's watching, there are still seats available on a bunch of our tours, and I'll put a note out this week just telling you what we have left for 2022 if anybody wants to still travel this year. India with me, for one, is going to be available, and I don't know if I'll ever do that again. It's kind of a one-off. So if you want to go to India with me, that's this year in end of October, beginning of November. And that's got space. You got what's on your push list, Reid? What are the other ones other than?
We've got Iceland in September. My Greek Islands cruise with a private Goulet yacht is filling fast. I think I've got maybe 6 seats left, 3 cabins on that. That's in mid-September. We've got Morocco mid-October that still has maybe 10 seats left on. No, sorry, we're going with smaller groups, aren't we? I have probably 6 seats available on that tour. And then I'm doing Southern India. Unfortunately, it doesn't segue with yours, but we're doing, for anybody who's already seen India, this is for sure a one-off thing. It's a little bit of a hard sell because people don't know anything about Southern India, but I'm here to tell you, if you went to India and saw the classic, golden triangle of Delhi, Jaipur and Agra and Rajasthan, you've just scratched the surface of what there is in India. And Southern India is every bit as spectacular without all the tourist crowds. So that's coming at the very, very end of November, a couple of weeks after your Northern India tour. So lots of options already this year.
Lots of options. Yeah, we still have some space on our Sicily tours that I'm not going to be leading, but they're being led by Susanna and Anna. Pipperato is also doing Florence. And Lisa Anderson's doing Naples, and we have room left on the Naples week tour, which is really a fantastic tour. So we've got great offerings and there's seats available. And I would say grab them now because more expensive next year and also going to be way more crowded next year. So very good. All right. I kind of what do you want to call this? Our television sales pitch piece is over.
Yeah, this was our token infomercial for
the infomercial. That was the word I was looking for. Infomercial. Yes, our token infomercial. But the reality is this is business. I know y'all love watching our conversations and hanging out with us, but at the end of the day, that's how we pay the bills. So we hope that you guys can travel with us. And if you can't, recommend us to your friends that can.
Right. And of course, you can always track me down through Sarah. She's glad to pass along, but it's imprinttours.com. Imprint Tours is one word, 2 T's.
Yep. And I'll go ahead and put the link to this particular tour that we've talked about in the comments on this video. So hopefully we'll get some seats sold and you guys will have a magnificent time. And you'll get really blotto drunk with Reid on a boat on the Zambezi River.
And I promise to get you back to the hotel safely.
It's a big promise. All right. Thanks so much for joining me, Reid. And thank you everybody out there for joining me as well. I don't know what's up this week. I think I'm just going to keep doing little drip drop teasers of what our 2023 tour schedule is going to have on it. So just stay tuned this week for something different every day. So we'll talk to you later. Ciao.
Bye-bye, everybody. Thanks.